The name of the group is actually pronounced, and I'm reading the Korean right now. It's not ATEEZ, it's AETZ, so it's ATEEZ.
ATEEZ.
Hello everybody, Chawon here, and today is gonna be the infamous, notorious, but maybe not quite as long as they used to be, of music reaction videos. I used to do them a lot with my friend Anthony, who was a DJ back in Korea. I did one with Kwanzaa, who is the creator of the comic book Black, and now he's coming out with a new comic book, White. But today, I have another musician, cultural influencer friend, Marco Visconti. And of course, Marco, I've been practicing your name like 5 gazillion times, just for the fun of it.
You pronounce it very nicely.
Thank you. Marco and I, we did an interview a couple months ago.
For people that start doing magic, always concentrate on the vanishings first, before you do anything else. If you feel like you're called to do something, if you think you want to be a musician, or you want to be an actor, or you want to be an artist, magic can and will help you, because it will give you the focus needed to just then go towards that direction. Like even having a practice of simple rituals will definitely help you to strengthen your resolve to be yourself.
And it was about Aleister Crowley, Lema, the OTO, and also Marco's past as a DJ for the industrial goth. Can we call it a movement scene?
Yeah, industrial goth scene, movement, that's fine. Absolutely.
And we talked a little bit about how you got into music and how you got into, I guess, DJing. But we didn't really actually talk about your time in and you were in more than one group, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Can you tell me a little bit about the groups that you were in?
Well, I started in 2001 with XP8. Which has been like my main project ever since for the entire span of my career, and which ended in 2015. Well, I decided to retire, more or less, because like when you start, it's something that I wrote about as well, is that when you go to these clubs and you realize that you're starting to be like 20 years older than the average age, maybe it's time to move on and do something else. I mean, some people stay, some people go. I decided to be among the ones who go. Then again, a few weeks after we did the interview, I ended up on stage with one of my other bands, Faderhead, in Germany for a couple gigs, and it might be that I will play with my friend Sam, the singer of Faderhead, again this summer in Germany for the Amphi Festival in Cologne.
This is the way to fuck God! It's time to wake up, come on!
Like when you do it every once in a while is fun. So back to my story, XP8 was the first one, and then I joined the band called Grendel between 2006 and 2009, and we released an album called Art Generation. Which became one of the staples of that style. It was called agrotech or dark electro, because as you can imagine, all scenes then have little subgenres and subcultures developing. Then I joined Faderhead as well, and then I did also some tours as session musicians for bands like BMB Nation, Stars Incorporated, played a show with Comic Rise. So it's been those were fun years. Like I remember basically not having an address because I was spending time around the world on tour and tour buses. Like everybody thinks that tour buses are beautiful, glamorous thing. You don't want to be in a bus with another like 10 men doing it for like 6 months.
You know what? Every single time I see a band like on their tour bus, the big thing, I guess the big rule of tour buses is don't take a shit in the tour bus.
That's very true.
I'm guessing that the industrial scene in Europe was different from the scene in America, or am I mean, I know very little about that scene.
I'd say that the industrial goth scene was never very big anywhere. Definitely Europe and definitely Germany are bigger than the United States. But then again, you would also have hubs like in LA or Seattle, New York, Philadelphia, all places that you would have like very nice big parties. But that was 10 to 15 years ago. I haven't really been in the States for the past like 3 years now. And when I was 3 years ago, I was mainly visiting my girlfriend at the time in Jacksonville, and they had like a club that was very, very small, but very, very tiny. And I mean, she plays in this band called the Crusados, very big goth band. So I mean, she knew everybody around. You know, Jacksonville was very tiny as a scene. So I can't tell if there's still like big parties in the States. I hear that some of the big clubs in LA, like Das Bunker, did close for a while and then reopened. Then like a couple of friends of mine that they're in this band called Three Teeth, they were used to run this club in LA again. Was called I don't remember the name. It was a big club, and then that closed as well. At the same time, you know, Germany here in the Europe, Germany is always like a big party. Yeah, when I played these shows with Sami, with Faderhead in Rostock and Magdeburg in November, we were playing with this band called supporting this band called Project Pitchfork, which is a very big band in the scene, and those were 1,500 to 2,000 people show per night. So you know, you can imagine it was still big.
Everybody knows that K-pop is kind of taking over the world. And what's funny about K-pop taking over the world is that I think when K-pop first came out into the American market, they made like the Korean version. And then they did like an English language version. But along the way, somebody was just like, fuck it, it's just too much work, and it's not worth it.
Let's just go full Korean.
Full Korean, which is funny, because they do have Japanese versions, but I think it's because Korean and Japanese is kind of like French and Italian. So it's like the translation is not that hard. Versus English, you just gotta, you know, it's just completely different. You gotta fuck up the lyrics a whole lot.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Like the phonetics must be they are completely different. So I'm like you really have to put a lot of effort to.
Right. And you know, it's just, I think somebody was just like, fuck it, we're just gonna do it in Korean. And then even in just like straight up Korean, it was starting to get really popular. There's a band, and they performed on Billboard, the music awards. So that group is actually in like the US like top 100, top 20, just with their Korean song. I think their album hit #1 in the American. I don't even know. The point is that these Korean kids, these Korean companies have found a way to take a language that's not even Spanish, which is like the second unofficial language of America, not even Spanish, a minority language, and they've just it's not even Japanese or Chinese, right? Absolutely. And they've somehow managed to, first of all, dominate Asian culture, not just in Korea, but Japan, China, Southeast Asia. China actually is trying to ban K-pop because they're saying K-pop is taking over traditional or like indigenous, or not even indigenous, I'm using magical terms, like it's like homegrown culture, you know? Exactly, so they were just like, we're gonna try to ban K-pop or K-dramas or whatever from this time to this time. That doesn't work. I know K-pop, I like K-pop, but I'm not like on top of K-pop. Fortunately, the Twitterverse is very on top of K-pop, and shout out to my friend Cineful. She's the one who kept talking incessantly about this band, and then I wasn't paying attention until she posted a picture of like, I guess he's the rapper of this group, and I was like, oh, okay, hello. Buongiorno. All right.
Okay,
Okay, guys, gonna.
okay. That's very cyber, actually.
Super cyber, right? Like the fashion sense is on point, and I love his mullet.
I really like the lighting. I mean, this red and then blue that was before, like it feels very cyber-esque. You know, have you seen AKIRA?
Yeah, very Japanese anime from the 80s. The song is called Hala Hala. Right.
The lyrics.
So, I think it's very interesting. They're all wearing the cyber masks, so they're in a way kind of anonymous.
I like it.
So K-pop is of course known for its, they call it like knife-like choreography, where everything is so perfectly rehearsed.
I mean, definitely they put a lot of effort in this.
Right.
So
I mean,
okay, music-wise, it's interesting because they move from the verse, which is very feels like trap in a way, and then the chorus. Well, I feel it's nice. The chorus feels it's actually very melodic. So it's very. I mean, as a musician, I would never do that, but I guess this is why I'm old.
Well, you know, K-pop. One of the reasons why so many Western producers love to work in K-pop, besides the fact that it's a successful genre, is that K-pop loves to mix all these genres that have never been put together before.
But that's exactly what I feel from this. I mean, I honestly really like it. It's very. I mean, the song is very catchy. Of course, like the lyrics, I'm reading like the translation. It's pop. It's what you get from pop, and it's okay.
Exactly, and of course, like the guys in the band. There's like what, like 6, 7. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So they were like singers, pretty much, right? That's,
actually, in K-pop bands, there's always like a designated lead singer. There's a rapper. They each have their roles.
Okay.
It's like a military unit. Like they're all specialized in certain.
That's
things.
a lot of people. Look at that. Like, let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well,
6.
but there's back dancers too. The ones who are not wearing chains. They're the back dancers.
All right, you gotta tell me these things.
What I like about this is they can mix the music, the sounds, and they're also mixing in the visuals.
Okay, yeah, and like this very glitchy image. That's very Instagram relevant in a way. That's everybody's doing glitchy things right now. See that? See this? This is nice. It's really nice. I mean, you can tell that. I mean, there's a lot of effort behind this. Like
production value is
production value. I mean, these guys. So they all can sing. They all can dance. They all can. I mean, look at that.
Right.
Honestly, I really like this. I didn't know what to expect because I don't know K-pop at all. But this is cool.
What I think is so interesting is they're able to take things like. I mean, I'm sure you see strains of industrial goth.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like the mask. When we used to do that in 2001. I can send you a picture of me. You're gonna laugh because I used to wear a mask like that in some of my old promo pictures. When we're talking like 15 years ago, more 29, almost 20 years ago. Jesus Christ. So yeah, I mean, you can. There's definitely a lot of inspiration that goes back to what I know as the industrial scene. Obviously the black, obviously the chains and the masks. But like I said, like it was interesting. I mean, this is a song that I'm definitely gonna put on my Spotify just to go to the gym and listen to because it's I didn't mind it. It's very nice.
It has a nice and it has a nice drop and everything like that.
Yeah.
Like if you turn it up like really loud, like I'm gonna admit that I was kind of jamming to it for a bit. I was just like, okay. What's that line from that movie Airheads?
There's a saying, Milo. If it's too loud, you're too old.
Loud music, yeah, that's the way to go. I mean. Come on, you gotta have fun.
So now that your K-pop cherry has been popped.
Popped, yes.
I mean, I think this is a good representation of popular. I guess this is just, you know, they're not even that cutting edge, right? Like the stuff that they're doing, even visually, a lot of K-pop bands have been doing this sort of look for a while now. And, you know, like K-pop, they're very savvy in that they bring over world-class stylists, not only inside Korea, but all over the world.
I mean, you can definitely tell. I mean, you can definitely tell that there's a clear vision in the. I mean, it was a fantastic video. It's like from what it comes from, like photography and videography was really good.
It's not hip hop, and yet there's so much like hip hop influence. You know?
Well, I mean, that's what they're doing today with this new genre, which is not new anymore, like called trap, right? You know, moving from hip hop and mixing it with other influences. It felt a lot, the verse bits really felt like trappy to me.
One of the things about K-pop is that it's inevitably influenced by Japanese music, Japanese popular music. And it's, of course, inevitable because the markets they go in with each other. You know, like the Japanese back in like the 80s and 90s, they were doing this like highly visual, like imagine hair bands, like hair metal bands from like the MTV era. Like on steroids. There was this band called X Japan. Tell me more about. Well, it's Malice Mizer.
They are. They're like a very well known band in the goth scene.
Yeah.
Because of because of the themes, because of the look, and I never really. Re-listen to them, but I remember like playing this show together in the same stage at this big festival in Leipzig, Germany called GACKT Vanilla, and it was imagine like for a weekend the entire city of Leipzig is taken over by the goths, and there's shows all over the city, and there's this big stage, main stage called HALA HALA in the fest area pretty much, and that's always the stage where they try to mix genres. So because in I would say, for instance, like if you go to one of the smaller venues, maybe you only listen to industrial music. Or another, you only listen to goth rock music. While on the big stage, in the main stage, they're trying to mix it. And I remember that was like the first time we played at Faderhead on HALA HALA, and they were headlining the night. So you would go backstage and see like this big entourage. They had a huge entourage of super dressed up people, and I was like, wow, they definitely look great. And I can definitely see some of the similarities. I mean, from them, from Malice Mizer, or Malice Mizer, as you say that.
Malice Mizer, right? Like I keep seeing all these like Vice documentaries about I'm in the gothic Lolita fashion, you know?
Being in a room of women who are accepting of each other and not trying to cloud each other's eyes.
And that was happening in Harajuku, like back in the 90s and early 2000s, of like girls and guys dressing up almost like gothic princes and princesses or dolls. And Malice Mizer, they kind of influenced that whole, like, one of the bands that really influenced that fashion subculture. I would like us to look at them performing perhaps one of their most popular songs called Au revoir.
So this is like early 90s, we said. And
late 90s, probably.
Late 90s. The stage is fantastic. Sounds like very like prog rock in a way.
It is, and then these like dramatic strings start
to
come in.
I mean, you can tell that both the guitar player and the bass player and the drummer are pretty good.
I mean, the vocalist is also great, Sun.
And this is very interesting to me because, I mean, you can definitely tell where the inspiration for big genres like gothic Lolita look comes from, because obviously it's them. And somehow I do see them is in the band with Sophie ATEEZ, like very sleek, alternative look. Like you can say like this is good, like an alternative looking person or people, but they're very sleek, they're very lean in a way.
And also, like, the way that the music sounds, there's an Asian sensibility to, I think, the way that we look at melody, or we try to, you know, have that sort of like melodic flow.
Yeah.
There's like a prettiness
Yeah,
to Asian music.
Didn't one of them die or something?
Yeah. I think the bass player or something like that. Early in their career.
But this is a very beautiful melody. I can see what you meant when you say about the sensibility, the Asian sensibility of the melodies. And they're not around anymore, right?
I'm not sure, but definitely not with GACKT-san. He moved on. He's the lead singer, yeah.
What does he do now?
He's like a pop star.
Pop star, yeah. He's got a great voice.
He does.
Great voice. So yeah, that's what you want in a musician, pretty much.
I mean, you want the lead singer to have a nice voice. That's a bonus, but you want him to look good, and you need him to be charismatic.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting that they're playing like the strings that you hear. If I'm not mistaken, actually they come from a guitar. That's an old like synth guitar thing.
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's like they're playing like 80s synth instruments.
Yeah. Pretty sure about that actually. Well, I can see the appeal. The appeal here, yeah, definitely. So would you compare the two? Would you compare the
I would, because I can see definitely how, you know, like this band, they're made up, they're androgynous. I mean, some of the band members, they're all men, but some of them are literally dressed up like, you know, drag queens, basically. So there's that sort of gender bending aspect to it, as well as that ability to take something. This is like pop music, but it's also rock, but it doesn't sound like anything that's in the American market where has ever been.
It's female in a way, which we could say that it's very magical in a way. You know, being able to be at the very crossroads between many different strands coming together, and yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what K-pop tries to do as well, which is they're not in any their genre is K-pop, which means a lot of different styles. They're also at that liminal place, and I think Japanese music, sorry K-pop, but it definitely paved the way for it. And you know, the Japanese and Koreans don't have a good relationship historically.
Historically, of course.
But I think a lot of people would say, of course, J-pop definitely influenced K-pop.
Oh, but personally, for me, it's obvious. I mean, like I said, I don't know much of any of the styles, but I went there immediately, and not just because Asian, but just because of like the music sensibility, the many genres of music mixed together, and definitely like also the gender bending elements of the musicians involved. I mean,
Exactly.
Well, I liked it.
Yeah.
Maybe, you never know. Maybe after this, I'll start listening to old J-pop and K-pop. You never know.
I mean, Visual K for J-pop is perhaps my favorite part of like early 2000s, late 90s J-pop. If you compare Korean pop and J-pop, the Korean guys are much more masculine. That there's a masculinity to them, like the sort of like I would say hyper effeminate style that GACKT-san or Malice Mizer have. It wouldn't fly in Korea.
Okay. Well, this is interesting because for me, like when we see that ATEEZ, I would see that, and to me it still feels very, I don't want to say effeminate, but there's not very masculine if you want, but I can see the difference, like the way they're dressed, the way they perform, they tend to be more in your face in a way, whereby Malice Mizer, which I'm gonna hope I pronounced right?
Yeah, you said it right.
It's a little bit more, I don't want to say passive, but more receptive in a way, like. Yeah, I can see that. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I also noticed bits of Depeche Mode in Malice Mizer and also in
Well, yeah, I mean, I can see the Depeche Mode. Where I mean, I can see where you can see where you can get that vibe. Maybe some of the more earlier Depeche Mode, like very 80s Depeche Mode, Construction Time Again. I wouldn't go as far as Violator, because for me Violator is the album.
Oh, my little girl, all I ever wanted. Feeling unknown and
Early 90s.
1990, I think, and that's when, to me, Depeche Mode made a big departure from the like straight 80s synth pop and became more dark. They went darker in a way, and then with Songs of Fate and Devotion, which was like,
try walking in my shoes.
and definitely Ultra, which was like, was it 97? The last album with Alan Wilder, and for me, it's the best album. Even if like some of my favorite songs, maybe their biggest hits come from previous albums. But for me, Ultra, when I remember when it came out, it was like, this is weird, this is different. But that's an album I always go back to. And then I didn't really care about Depeche Mode afterwards. That's the thing. Like after Wilder departed, I mean, they're still Depeche Mode, they're still great, but
he is the underrated hero of Depeche Mode, and I've read interviews saying that, because he joined kind of late, and they already had their little crew going on, that he was always an outsider. But I mean, I think most people, they only think about, Martin Gore and, what's his name, Dave Gahan, as being Depeche Mode, but there were other members too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Vince Clarke at the beginning was very important, and this is the name. Is that right? Yeah.
And then he went on to make Erasure, or to start Erasure. It's one of my favorite bands.
Oh, you like Erasure?
I love Erasure. Oh my god, I've seen them live. I've seen them live with my sister. By the way, Asian Americans love Erasure.
Maybe that was the big single in the mid '90s. Or was Always?
Yeah, Always.
And it was very like Japanese, like the video was very Japanese, right? If I don't remember correctly, I think I do. He was on every audition on MTV, and I remember coming back from school and turning on to try and see Headbangers Ball, obviously. And it was like, that's Erasure. Okay, I like Erasure. It's fine.
Kind of got into Depeche Mode a little bit late, which is funny because I got into bands like Kraftwerk relatively early. So I don't know how that happened because Depeche Mode was always on MTV.
I remember getting into Kraftwerk or Jean-Michel Jarre, krautrock in general, through my parents' music. Like they had like this collection of vinyls, so I was like going on as a kid, like trying to listen to stuff. But then I had this moment where I was mostly listening to metal, and then was the time when Violator started to be like always on MTV. I was like, this is actually very interesting too. But I would not be I would still be like a guitar player in metal bands for my teenage years, and then only when I went to university that I started to become a music producer. And I still play guitar, but then I never play guitar on stage ever because you go on stage and you do other things.
When we say that you play guitar, are we talking like Guitar God or like?
I can play. Let's say I can. Let's say I grew up, trying to emulate Dave Mustaine from Megadeth, and
really,
and I could. I would say that if I get a guitar now, I mean, it's on the other room, I would make a fool of myself because that's something that it's not a skill that you lose. But to play that fast and to play that coordinated, you must put the hours in, you must put the practice in. So I would say that if I get a guitar and I start practicing again, as I used to do, it was the time before the internet, really. So what you would do is just either go out with your friends or stay at home and do things. And I used to live pretty far away from all my friends, so I would go out with my friends only on weekends, really. And the rest of the weeks, during the weekdays, I would basically play guitar. And when you put like 6 hours a day into guitar, then you can do that. Then you can go to that level.
This reminds me of like watching an interview of like, what's his name? The guitarist from the Sex Pistols, Steve Jones.
Yeah.
Like, and him saying, and so many other guitarists saying, you know, I'll just practice until my fingers bled. You know, like that's what they would have to do. That's what any guitarist
honestly,
has to do.
there's some. I mean, I know some of my friends that are actually like they were born with the talent. I wasn't. I had to study. I mean, I had to put the hours in. I guess that those people can get away with a lot of time into to practicing. But again, to do certain stuff, you will have to practice. It's like playing every instrument. It's like if you play piano and you want to do Rachmaninoff or Chopin, like you have to really put the hours in, because it's just like skills in your hands. And if you don't practice, you will just become rusty, and that's it.
That's like magic, isn't it?
It is. I mean, music for me is magic. It has its own rules. It has its own lexicon, and you have to put a lot of work into. Like I said last time in the interview, like never believe anybody that tells you can do magic or you can play music like in a week. You need to put hours in. Actually, it's funny because this is something that nobody that came to my courses or even now, the online thing that I'm doing is like, oh, but I want to do it like now. It's like, yeah, you can't. you have to put at least.
What if you're like somebody who, I don't know, like is super psychic, has been like seeing spirits ever since you were like born?
Mm-hmm.
But even people like that have to practice.
I would say yes, because it's like being talented in music. Okay, if you're talented, you will be able to sidestep some of the steps on the ladder. But at the same time, you will still have to climb that ladder. There's no way around it. You will be able to understand things faster, and you will be able to maybe do things better. But because talent exists, there's no way around it. Sadly, we're not born all equal. Like every man and every woman is a star, as a concept. But in each incarnation, some of us are born with talents, and some of us are born with other talents, and that's a sad reality we all have to accept. So even if you have a talent, you have to put the hours in if you want to be like very good at it. Because if you don't, you might be able to fake it once and twice, and then maybe you try something very, very big, and it completely blows in your face. And I've seen that happen. It happened to me as well.
I mean, because I'll be totally honest, like, even though in magic, everybody always says, oh, you gotta do divination before you do spells, like, do some tarot cards or anything like that. I'm not naturally good at cards. I'm just not. I'm much better at throwing a spell and just seeing where it lands rather than doing divination. I just don't have that skill. And I know that no matter how hard I try and study, I'll get to a certain point, no doubt, but I will never get to the point of, let's say, somebody like you. So tell me a little bit more about this new Patreon thing that you have going on. So you just started.
I just started today. Pretty much is the first month that we really go into it. I didn't do like a big launch or anything like that. I just announced it on my channels, Instagram, on my Facebook and Twitter. I kind of want to see what it's like, because I like the idea that if people want to have a connection with somebody that maybe is recognized, like I said, that put the hours in before, it's nice to be able to offer that. It's also something that came out again and again in the courses I did at Treadles over the last, 4 years now, 3 years now, almost 4. Whereby whenever we would finish a session, either one of the 6-week courses or the one-offs, the nights that we do from time to time, people would ask what we do next. How can we keep being in touch? And you know what? For a while, I did toy with the idea of almost starting a new magical order.
Because you already you kind of have one right now, right?
I am the figurehead of the Ecclesia Gnostica Universalis in Anglia, which is a very long name. It's the Universal Gnostic Church in the UK. With the EGU, I just decided that's something that's there. We do run Gnostic masses. Something that I wrote on Yule 2018, so over Christmas time. It's not meant to be a public group. It's meant to be a strictly group by invitation. Because, again, my experience in the ODO tells me that while it's beautiful to have the idea that you have open doors, if you have open doors and absolutely you do not do any sort of crowd control, you will just end up having groups with people that you don't belong to, and there's no connection. It feels forced. It feels like, why do I have to be in the same room with people I would not go to have a drink with?
So for your Patreon, the people who are going to sign up for your Patreon and deciding on a rewards tier, if they do decide to go for the higher tiers, which include the tarot reading, I mean, what they're getting is you, somebody who's very experienced, many years, I would even say decades, studying Crowley and studying and I'm assuming that you're going to be using the Thoth tarot.
Well, I'm gonna use the Thoth deck most definitely. And I am going to, well, it's also, I mean, I can use also the merveilles deck. I can use there's other decks that I like. There's this beautiful deck by this Italian artist called Fabio Listrani. It's called the Night Sun Tarot, and it's inspired by Crowley. So all the attributes are similar to the Thoth deck, but the images are very different. Possibly it's becoming one of my favorite tarots. But like I said, like the top tier that I'm offering, which is like we call it KOR, because I kind of wanted to map it on the Tree of Life. I'm offering that. I'm also offering like this, a variety of audio recording. I did lots of audio recordings over the years that are for mantras and guided meditation and path workings, and basically everything that's used to become aware of what the astral is. You hear a lot of astral travels or astral body. I feel like very few people understand what that is, because it's not so easy to understand if you just read a book. So over the years, especially for my courses at Redos, I put together a series of recordings, and I'm making that available with feedback. I'm making what I call like magical mentorship. Like we can have 1 month, each month we can have like this as a chat with the person, and they can ask me, I mean, like a mentorship, like what do you want to learn. And then this is something actually was suggested to me by another magician, not going to name names, but somebody who's very well known, and say, why don't you offer something called like a sigil, like that is after like that one-on-one session, maybe you can say, okay, let's put together. I'm gonna put together a sigil for the person, and then I'm gonna teach the person how to activate it. And then so we can also have like feedback to see month by month if you did something, did it work, why didn't it work, and see that's similar also to the kind of instruction I received as a member of the AA, and that's the kind of one-on-one instruction that you would find in that kind of experiences.
If it's $100 a month, it's $25 a week.
Yeah, exactly.
It's $25 a week to be able to get that personal time with you. Like I've noticed that when a person who is experienced in the occult decided to charge for their services, as they should, all of a sudden everybody's really pissed off. It's like, oh, you greedy bastard, how dare you? You should just be giving things for free.
In the Western Hermetic tradition, there's this theme comes again and again. And if you look, for instance, at the old Rosicrucian texts, they say that the Rosicrucian, which is the initiate, right, should only operate magic for free and to heal people. But that's the point there. Those were the magicians or the initiates that were being basically having very, very wealthy patrons taking care of them. Because of course the idea is that you shouldn't do it for greed, you shouldn't do it just to become wealthy. But the idea in those very texts, the same texts that people quote to be, oh, you shouldn't ask for money, they don't go the extra mile and say, well, those texts were written in a context whereby the initiate, the adept, the healer was also the person who was taken care of completely by the wealthy patron, which would be the prince, which would be the king, whatever. Like, think about John Dee. That's a classic example. I mean, he was like the astrologer of Queen Elizabeth I, and I mean, the guy was not coming for money itself, but he was taken care of by royalty. And that's always the idea of the Rosicrucian adept. He shouldn't charge, and he should work for healing, but because he should also have a set of patrons that would benefit from that healing and then will give back. there's always a transaction. If people want to believe that magic is free of transaction, you're just deluding yourself. Because at the same time, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, you're just a freeloader. You just want things for free, and when things happen without you putting any work. Sadly, that's not how this universe works. You have to put work to get work.
I mean, it makes no sense to me that you're just like, I don't want to give money, like $25 a week, to an actual person, right? But I'm giving offerings to the spirits. That's basically money that you're giving to the... You can't give them, like, your check account number, because what are the spirits going to do? But you're offering incense. You're offering currency that they do find valuable. And in this world, the currency we find valuable is literal currency.
Absolutely.
Same thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I would argue that if we were in an environment where, I don't know, I would find a person, a patron for me, like say, that I want you to work for me and teach me these things, and I'm gonna take care of your food. Sure, that's fine. I mean, that's what it's like. But of course, we're not there yet with the various websites that exactly we can access that. But so it's not so much money for the sake of money. It's about having the transaction. It's about giving something and receiving something. You cannot receive something if you don't give something, and that's what it is.
A lot of people on the spiritual path are very vulnerable, because oftentimes what puts them on that path is some sort of calamity that's happened in their life.
Absolutely.
So I can totally understand why some people would be very suspicious of those who charge money, because it's sort of like, are you exploiting the vulnerable? Yeah. Are you taking somebody who's at the lowest point in their life and just basically milking them and completely taking advantage of them at that point? And that, of course, is a shitty thing to do. Sure. But that's not what we're talking about right now. And I'm assuming that, because you are somebody who wants like a healthy relationship. If somebody comes to you and it's obvious to you that this person is not, they want to give you the money, but you can just tell that financially they're not in the position, they're going to go broke if they do. You're going to be like, I don't want to, maybe right now is not the right time.
I mean, I've been approached recently by someone, not on the Patreon, but I've been approached by someone in that environment that found me through Instagram. I posted a thing about consultancy, because I also do personal consultancy, and this person was, I only see this person is someone from the UK that I met once, but I don't know them very well, but this person really came across as somebody very, very like unstable, and I was like, I'm sorry, I cannot help you. And I was like, oh, well, I can pay more. It's like, it's not about money. It's that maybe you need some other kind of help.
And again, if you are giving offerings to the spirits, and you know that without the offerings, the relationship won't work as well, not because there's anything wrong with the spirits, but because that's just what's fair, like the spirits are going to be like, well, what you put in is what you get out. And that's basic interaction that's healthy. And I think people expecting to get free stuff, constantly, what they're asking for is a very unhealthy, unbalanced, and I would say unmagical relationship, simply because how can you start to project energy and start to throw effective spells and do any of that causes movement in your life when there's literally a bottleneck, because it's unbalanced.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can't. I think that, with videocasts like yours, or the fact that magic is becoming, I don't want to say like mainstream, because it's not, believe it or not. I mean, most people think it is. It's not. It's not becoming mainstream. But there's definitely, through YouTube, through podcasts, we are able to talk about it better and more freely. I think this will cause a shift of perspectives. It will take some time, but I think we're going towards nice period. I mean, if the war doesn't end first, which is always possible. But
well, I hope it doesn't end before like 2030, because I really want to see if the singularity happens. So after that, that's fine. We'll just transfer our brains.
That might be the end of the world at the same time. You think like the end of the world as we know it, as R.E.M. used to sing about.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Actually, I was thinking of perhaps like one more song, and this is also going to be part of the video.
Sure.
But Master and Servant, Depeche Mode.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, because I feel like Master and Servant, that's the old-fashioned way of viewing like this magic thing, you know, like you are a servant to this master god or whatever. But actually, a lot of the people that I'm talking to, magical people, they say it's about not exactly being like buddy-buddies with the spirits, but it's about seeing them in a more egalitarian way. And therefore having equal energy exchange. They and you both are respecting each other.
I mean, this is a big thing, for instance, a change of perspective you can find, especially in grimoire and goetic magic. The idea that, you know, we come from, like, seeing grimoires as this place where you command the spirit and you scare the spirit. And if you didn't do that, basically, all these horrible things are going to happen to you. But in more modern texts, I mean, the work of Jake Strachan-Kent, it's fundamental. Like, is in Encyclopedia Goetica on Scarlet Imprint. I mean, it's must read, really. You start to understand that spirits are, I mean, first of all, they're not there for you. And you must have a healthy relationship with them. And it's true that there could be, you could see like there's like hierarchies of spirits, but even the lowest hierarchy is still somebody you want to invite in your house as opposed to just command them or something like that. That worked very well in the very, you know, patriarchy-driven Judo-Christian mindset, but I guess we're moving past that, so maybe we should reconsider our ideas, how we work with spirits. Should we do Master and Servant then?
Yeah, Master and Servant, and also because Master and Servant, I think it also, you can see the influences of Depeche Mode in Malice Mizer and also in ATEEZ. And I feel like this song, it's not as well known as other Depeche Mode songs, and I really love this song.
It's a lot.
Oh my god, they were young.
I know, right?
It's a lot. Like.
So, do you know that I never saw this video actually? I mean, I know the song very well, but...
So, can we just say Dave Gahan? I mean, for a white boy, he could dance.
Yeah. I mean, that was the new romantic dance, though, back in the 80s.
Right. That's sort of like more goofy dancing.
What is he doing? Why is he doing that?
I don't know.
What is he doing exactly? Okay, I can get there. I mean, he used to like ball and chain. Why is he like doing that?
And also, many people may not know this, but Depeche Mode, they were like teen idols, like back in the early months.
I mean, have you ever seen the very early pictures? They were like 17, 18. Like,
Yeah, they're teenagers.
I mean, this was a couple years in, so they got must have been like 21 years, 22.
They were still teen idols for sure.
Yeah.
They were still on Tiger Beat, still Tiger Beat covers.
Those hairdos, look at that. Is this Westminster? Maybe. Like the 80s suffering both of them. It's just like so ridiculous.
But you know, this is still kind of fresh sounding and looking too. And can you see like how this would have influenced like Malice Mizer and ATEEZ? I can definitely see it.
But you know, like there's also like this. You can see like the political discourse as well. This is back when like Cold War was much a thing. Yeah, so you can see like, oh wow, this actually. I never saw this game before. So I'm like, wow. But yeah, I can definitely see how they inspired the bands we saw before. I mean, down to the look, to the actual look of the hairdos and some of the clothing as well, I would say.
And you know, one of the things that I really liked about Depeche Mode is that they had a really good ear for melody, so they had that industrial sound and that hard, like, more techno sound, but they knew how to make melody.
Well, you gotta remember that we're talking just like, what is it, 85? Techno wasn't even invented at the time. You know, there was the first ideas of techno. Then the acid would come along in 88, and yeah, they were really like, they were at the forefront of everything.
They were, and that sort of pretty melody that Asian culture really likes. Depeche Mode definitely does that. And that's like pop, right? That's pop, to make that pretty melody.
The thing is that that's what I always loved about them. They always been incredibly pop. They always been like, you know, on playing on major TVs and whatnot, radio. But they always had this edge. I mean, starting from here onwards, like they don't have like this like the more industrial sounds, the very metallic snares and whatnot. It's they're basically dressed like leather people.
Oh yeah, Martin Gore, him and his like S&M wear.
So, is that holding everything in place? Nothing slips out?
I think so.
Well, I think it's stunningly attractive.
S&M wear, yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they were into a lot of interesting
Oh, I'm
things.
sure Martin Gore was. And I highly agree.
Oh god, this is still a great song. I mean, all these years after. I mean, what was it? 84. This was from 84. That is 35 years ago.
All the things to be influenced by, you know, thank God it was Depeche Mode and not,
Yeah, absolutely.
and not some other band that... Although, I was about to say New Kids on the Block, but, you know, let's not hate on them because I used to love New Kids on the Block. And New Kids on the Block, hey, actually, in a way, all the K-pop bands, they are influenced by New Kids on the Block and all these boy bands. Because New Kids on the Block, they could also dance. You know, they were synchronized, good-looking, and they had sort of like an edge in a way.
You know, I'm gonna lose all the cool points. I've been listening to a lot of Backstreet Boys.
Lately, or...
Lately, for
I'm not gonna hate
because there's been this meme going around in my circle of friends, and it's like a big thing. I mean, I went back and looked at the video, and those people can dance and people can sing. There's no we're gonna think anything about it.
In another 10 years, Backstreet Boys are gonna be like cool again. You know, like ultimate cool. No, I mean, I personally love, what's that song? I want it that way. I like that song. Yeah.
Yeah. It's also on an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Everything in pop music, whether it's like at the kind of fringes of pop music or like at the forefront, like Backstreet Boys, K-pop is really good at taking what works from all these genres, mixing it together, and of course, with that overlay of Korean sensibilities, Korean language, and it's translated really well to the world. And to me, that's the ultimate glamour magic. You know, it's visual, it's communal, it's embodied.
It's, I mean, like I said, I didn't know the song before, but I think I'm going to listen to it again. So it's that's magic for you. I mean, that's when something sticks like that, it's actual magic, yeah.
And can you tell us again about where we can find you on Patreon?
You can find me on patreon.com/Marco Visconti, which is my name, and you're gonna get all the information from this new project that I just started, and we discussed it before. And of course, you can find me on Instagram, on Twitter, and I'm very close to just leave Facebook for good, finally, because
they all say that, and they always come back.
I know, but you can find me there as well if you want to get in touch. That's it.
Great. Well, thank you for doing this music reaction video with me, Marco.
Really